Hi, my name is Faith. Welcome to my channel, Mom by Day, Author by Night. Today I'm going to talk about my experience with the Manuscript Academy when I bought a 50-page critique for my manuscript. First, I'm going to talk about why I decided to pay for this service. The reason is that as an aspiring author, after you finish writing a novel, the next step, if your goal is traditional publishing, is to find a literary agent to represent you. So the way to find a literary agent to represent you is to query them. So every agent has their own query guidelines, but for the most part, they want a query letter, which is a very evil thing, and I will talk about the query letter in another video if you don't know what that is. So as part of their submission package, most agents want a query letter and the first pages of the manuscript. Some just want the first few pages, some want the first few chapters, some want 25 pages, some want 50 pages. It's very variable, so when you're submitting to an agent, you really have to look at their individual guidelines. So after you query these agents, then the agonizing wait begins. Many agents you never hear back from at all. Other agents you hear back from, and often it is a rejection. Rejection really sucks, but it's important to learn to deal with it with class and dignity. And the worst part about the rejections is that most of the time it is a form rejection letter. Dear author, thank you so much for your submission, but unfortunately, your novel is not what we're looking for at this time. The problem with the form rejection letter is that you're not getting any valuable feedback from the agent. So you know that something's wrong, that no one's asking to see more of your manuscript, but you don't know what is wrong, you don't know how to fix it. As an aspiring author, it's really important to find productive coping skills in order to deal with rejection. Wait, is there still chocolate on my face? For me, by the time that I've started querying agents, I've already shown my book to a critique group, let them rip it apart, and edited it accordingly. I've already had many beta readers give their feedback on it. My mom really loves it. I know people that like the book. Did I mention that my mom really loves it? A few people have told me that it's the best book that they ever read. My mom was one of those people, that's true. Yeah, she was. She was. So I've already used those avenues to get some feedback on my book, but the people that are actually important, meaning the agent, yep, that's right. The rest of you, none of you are important. Only the agent's opinion actually matters at the end of the day. The people that are actually the ones that I need to like my book, because like I said, everyone else thinks it's the greatest book they've ever read. So, but the agents don't agree with that. And I don't know why. Why do they keep rejecting me? Why do they? So that is why this was so appealing to me, to pay for an actual agent to give me feedback. Because as an aspiring author, all I want is for an agent to tell me what I need to do to make it better. I'm okay with them saying that it needs a lot of work. I just need to know what needs work. So now I'm going to show you how you can get one of these critiques if it's something that you're interested in getting. So first you have to go to manuscriptacademy.com, and then you go into consultations. Then you can choose either live meetings or written critiques. For me, I wanted the written critique because I really wanted for a critique of the entire 50 pages, which that's not offered in a live meeting. Also, I felt like with the written critique, they might get a little bit more in depth with the notes and the margins that they said that they would offer. So when you get the written critique, they give you a written, obviously, when you sign up for a written critique, they give you a written critique. For me, it was an email that included about 4 paragraphs. And in those 4 paragraphs, they talked about the strengths of the book, the weaknesses of the book, and what they really felt needed improvement. But beyond that, there were also editing marks on the manuscript itself, as well as notes in the margins of the manuscript itself. And there's many different offerings for written critiques. For the written critiques, you can choose from a query critique, 10 pages, synopsis, 50 pages is what I decided to go for, 100 pages, or a proposal if you wrote a nonfiction. After you choose your 50-page critique, you can also choose which agent or editor you would like to critique your book. So I would recommend reading all the bios and choosing which agent you feel is the best fit for your genre and your manuscript. After you choose that person, then you wait. Just like with the queries, you have a nice, long, agonizing wait. But at least with this, there is a deadline. So you know that eventually you're going to hear back and eventually you are going to get that feedback that you're looking for. Now I'm going to get into the actual critique. So the email arrived right when I expected it to arrive on the date that I had signed up for. So it wasn't early and it wasn't late. And it was pretty detailed. It was about 4 paragraphs talking about what she liked about my book and what she thought needed work. First, I read through the 4 paragraphs and she said I had a strong concept, a great voice. She said she liked the writing. Basically, she said that the pacing needed a bit of work. And a bit meant that when I opened the actual document, there was big, fat, thick red lines crossing out half of my 50 pages. Half. Yeah, half. So that was a lot. It was hard to hear. That was real nice that she thought it was well written and that she thought it had a great voice, but she also thought that it all needed to go out the window. Half of it. Goodbye. Bye-bye. So this is what they call in editing killing your darlings. Her email, I had to take a few deep breaths. I had to go for a walk. But after I returned from my walk and shed a few tears, I realized that she was right. Everything that I read that had that big, thick red line across it, she was right. It could go. It was not needed. As much as I loved it, as much as she even said some of it was fun, some of it was charming, some of it was even interesting. But if it wasn't propelling the plot forward, it's got to go. It's just got to go, especially in YA literature. I went and sat down and I pressed the delete button a lot. Because I do think that as a writer, it is important to write those pages because of those pages are what helps you develop your characters. It helps you build your setting, build your world. But when you're done, you really have to take a good hard look at every single sentence of your book and be like, is this necessary? Is this propelling the plot forward? Because if it's not, these revisions really took a long time. It took me several months to do these revisions, and I was working on them every day because I realized this was a problem not just only in the first 50 pages, but throughout the manuscript. So I really had to look at each line and make sure that it was propelling the plot forward and that it was necessary. Yeah, I think it was well worth the $240 because it made a world of difference in my book. This agent's critique and the Manuscript Academy, 2 thumbs up. Because of this agent's critique, my manuscript is now stronger, tighter, and much better overall. So for me, it was well worth the money. And now I am back in the query trenches with my brand new revised manuscript. So wish me luck.